Hey everyone, welcome back to Roundup Save. This is Jenna, and today I'm here to talk to you about ELLEVEST. ELLEVEST is a financial company that's built for women by women, and when I first heard about this bank, I was super excited because it was the first time I had ever heard about anything like that before. I was also a little nervous about what ELLEVEST actually was and, if I should open up an account with them. It just seemed like at the time, this was a couple of years ago, where I just didn't know too much about it and wanted to learn more. So instead of opening up an account immediately, I probably followed them and signed up for their newsletters for about a year before signing up. At the time, it was a startup, and it still is. I wanted to explain some of my thought process behind why I chose to bank with ELLEVEST and what I love about it, some of the cons, of course, and just in general, like my thoughts and my experience investing with ELLEVEST. As I mentioned, I was a little hesitant to open up another bank account. One, because I already had a brokerage account through Charles Schwab and also had a 401k set up through my office. So I didn't know if I really needed another brokerage account or another investment account for that matter. But eventually I decided to open up a Build Wealth account with ELLEVEST, which is kind of nice, and I'll go into some of the details about why that comes with their starter base membership package. And I've been really happy with it. It's been super easy to invest money in it, and I think one of the great parts is that it uses a robo-advisor to help you make automatic investments every month. And so it's been really awesome, and I think I've seen returns as high as 28%. So that's really great. Of course, that percentage fluctuates with the market. It's definitely a little down right now, given the situation in Ukraine and with the COVID pandemic and things like that. But overall, I've really loved my experience with ELLEVEST, and I want to tell you a little bit more about it. If you like content like this, be sure to like and follow us along, subscribe to the channel, and leave comments below so we know what you like, what you dislike, what you're thinking. It'll really help us move the channel forward. Okay, so what is ELLEVEST? As I mentioned earlier, ELLEVEST is a bank, a financial company that was built for women by women, and I think this is really important because of the historical gender inequity that has been around in the world. A lot of policies and research and things like that weren't created with women in mind, and so I think it's really unique actually to have a bank like ELLEVEST that is geared towards helping to close that gap in income, in parity, in everything that really helps to uplift women and make sure that there's parity in our gender and more equity too. So that was one of the things that really drew me to ELLEVEST, was that I had never heard of this concept before and thought it was really novel and really interesting because it was so new and also kind of like a no-brainer too. Like, why don't we have banks for women by women? The thing that I also really like about ELLEVEST is that they 100% stand behind their mission of helping to, close the gender gap, especially when it comes to income and financial independence and things like that. And they provide a lot of services in addition to just their banking services and investment services, which I think is really crucial to their mission of making sure that, there is a reduction in discrimination based on gender, especially when it comes to the financial side of things. And so they offer a lot of services for investing in specific goals like retirement, or, maybe you're trying to save money for, a wedding or a vacation, something like that. And then they also have a lot of educational materials and different workshops and coaches that are available to help build that confidence and kind of ignite the motivation, if you will, for making sure that women can achieve those goals and that it's no longer a barrier for them to do that. So that's one of the things I really love about ELLEVEST, is this mission and the fact that they have been able to kind of change the traditional banking model of just propagating, the traditional models of how and who can make money in this country and in this world. The other thing that I was kind of hesitant about ELLEVEST at first, because it was such a new bank, was I didn't know if like my money would be insured, if it was safe. And so one of the first things I Googled actually was to make sure that it was FDIC insured. This stands for Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, and this means that money that is invested in institutions that have this type of insurance, your money is basically covered for $250,000. And so you'll find that most banks are FDIC insured, for example, Bank of America, Charles Schwab, Chase, things like that. And that's a really important piece to check about to make sure that if for something were to go wrong, if the bank were to go bankrupt, some problem, that your money is insured and that you can get up to that amount back. So I want to talk about ELLEVEST'S membership options. Their membership options are really straightforward and easy to understand. I actually joined before they had this current membership option where you had to pay a specific percentage of what you were investing. And so that actually factored, I think, into my decision to bank with them, because I wanted to make sure that the money I was putting in and the fees that I had to pay for those services, the interest earned or the returns on those investments into the stock market would be worth more than those fees that I had to pay. But I think with this new membership model that they have is it makes it just really easy to know exactly what you're going to be paying, when you're going to be paying it, and I think also has a lot of flexibility for you to be able to switch across membership options when you need to. So I actually have what they call the ELLEVEST Essential, and that is just $1 a month or $12 a year, same thing. And it gives you access to their Build Wealth investment accounts. And now they also have their checkings and savings, just your regular bank account as well. The other options for their membership are the ELLEVEST Plus, which costs $5 a month or $54 a year, which is a $6 savings. And for this, you get access to their Build Wealth and their ELLEVEST IRA, which is a retirement account. And then their third tier membership is ELLEVEST Executive, and that costs $9 a month or $97 a year, which is an $11 savings. And you get access to Build Wealth, ELLEVEST IRA, and then options to invest for other goals like a down payment or a wedding or a vacation, something like that. Again, I have the Essential plan and have the Build Wealth goal. I don't actually use their checkings or savings account because I already have a checking and savings account with Bank of America as well as Charles Schwab, and I just didn't feel like I needed to have another checkings or savings account at this time. Another consideration for me was just like reading the fine print for those checkings accounts. I know, for example, Bank of America, you have to have a certain minimum in order to not be charged for that checking account. And what I really like about Charles Schwab is that it's completely free to have a checkings account with them, as long as you have that brokerage account that's also been open. And so you don't have to worry about how much money is in your bank account, if you're a little low or, not quite meeting whatever, set threshold there is. And for Charles Schwab, there's no minimum reoccurring deposits that need to be made, which is typically based on paychecks or something like that. So I think ELLEVEST right now, at least when I last checked, probably last year, they had a minimum of 2 deposits per month or something like that. And for me, that just wasn't worth it, especially right now since I'm not in school. I don't have regular money coming in. So I didn't end up choosing to bank with them, but I do invest with them. And so this video is really focused on my investment experience. That being said, one day perhaps I may choose to bank with ELLEVEST, and that could change, so we'll see. So let's talk about some of those pros and cons. I want to start off with how does it work? How does that investment actually work? So basically, when I got my paycheck, I would set in a set dollar amount of money that I wanted to transfer to my ELLEVEST account. And so I would set up that automatic direct transfer to ELLEVEST. Then once that money is received by ELLEVEST, they will actually automatically invest in different ETFs and index funds based on some information that I have previously given them, based on like how risky I want to be, what types of investments I'm interested in. And so I think that makes it super easy to just make sure that your money is getting continually invested. And I think that's one of the benefits of having a robo-advisor like ELLEVEST or any other bank for that matter that has that feature, because you don't have to worry about logging into that account to make sure that that money gets invested, which is just another step in the chain of, potential barriers or reasons why it's so hard to invest. It's just, another step that you have to take. So basically, ELLEVEST does these personalized investment plans, and they will invest in low-cost ETFs or mutual funds that include stocks, bonds, other alternatives, and these are really carefully chosen to make sure that you can meet your goals. You can also tell ELLEVEST like how risky you want to be with your investments. So for me, I'm pretty young. I'm not planning to retire for quite a while. I'm still in my late 20s. I have a lot of time, and therefore I've chosen to be a little bit more aggressive in the stocks and bonds and things that I invest in. But for someone who might be in their late 40s or closer to retirement, they may want to be less aggressive in their investment decisions and make sure that they can still generate money and good returns on their investments, but not necessarily be so risky. So basically what that means is that if the market were to go down, kind of like how it has been right now with the Ukraine situation and even COVID for that matter, I'm not needing to take out that money right away. I can afford to let it sit even at lower returns because I'm not going to need it for quite some time. So that's just something to consider, I think, in terms of your risk tolerance, I suppose, for investments. I think another really important piece of ELLEVEST's investing options is that they really make sure that you have a diversified investment portfolio. And this is really important to reduce any risks that are due to selection of stocks and ETFs. There's always going to be some sort of systematic risk that is involved in investing in the stock market, but making sure to have a diversified portfolio really helps to ensure that you can really maximize your returns. Another thing is that as your investment value goes up or down, the value of the portfolio will also change too. And so you can earn returns, and those returns also have the opportunity to earn more returns. And that's what compounding is. And I think that's why investing in the stock market is so important, is because that's how your money grows. It's with that returns that you get on the returns that got returns. And I think that's the beauty of compounding. And so what ELLEVEST also offers is that it will help to rebalance and align your portfolio based on your goals, which is just another step to make it so much easier to invest. Another thing that I really love about ELLEVEST is that they have this emphasis on impact investing and having an impact portfolio. Basically what this means is that it's not just financial returns or financial investments that have a really strong return. Social investments can also have very strong returns, and those are not mutually exclusive. You can invest and make sure that you are investing in organizations or companies that have a really strong social purpose and social mission that do good for the world. And I think there's this preconceived notion that if you're investing in something that's good for the world, like education, for example, that you're not going to have a strong financial return, but that is absolutely not the case. And so I really like that they're helping to create more of a conversation about the value of investing for impact and in impact. And so some of the things that ELLEVEST will allow you to create in your impact portfolio is investments in women in leadership, community development, and sustainable practices. And basically you can just turn on this feature in their app, and they'll allocate a certain percentage of your portfolio to make sure it's hitting those 3 different types of impact metrics or impact types, which I think is really awesome. And then again, like as we talked about with diversification of our portfolios, it really helps to actually reduce risk and help us to make sure that we can maximize those returns. And so I think investing in impact is a way to also diversify those investments. On their website, ELLEVEST'S says that those 3 different types of ways to invest in sort of the impact portfolio, women in leadership, community development, sustainable practices, those are ways to diversify your investments, and that these investments can make a positive impact for women or with higher standards for sustainability and ethical practices. I think a really important piece of the impact portfolio is that they allocate a certain percentage of your overall portfolio to invest in impact. It's not the whole thing. And the reason for that is just because investing in impact is still a very growing field, and they can't invest your entire portfolio in impact funds because they have a fiduciary obligation to maximize your returns and make sure that you have the appropriate mix of investments to help you reach your goals first and foremost. Finally, the other thing that I love about ELLEVEST'S is just their education and their commitment to allyship in general for women, for gender, and also for different races and things like that. So during the Black Lives Matter protest in June of 2020, publicly announced that they were committing to investigating their racial and diversity makeup of their staff. And I think they were one of the few companies that actually came back and published a report on exactly what they did, what they were changing, and how they would make sure that diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives would be something that would be relevant for them moving into the future, and how they would actually make sure that they made tangible progress in those regards. And so in January of 2021, they published an article explaining all of this, what they did, who they hired, what activities they did to take place to make sure that their DE&I initiatives could be met. And I thought that was really just amazing for a company to do. A lot of the companies I think that made public announcements in June of 2020 seems to be quite performative. And so I really liked that they took the time to publish this. I think they're probably overdue to publish another update now that it's 2022, so I'd be curious to see if they'll do this moving forward, but I'll link that article from January 2021, and you can check it out and see what you think, and let me know what you think too. I also receive ELLEVEST'S weekly emails, and I really love their content and topics. I actually I receive a lot of emails of different newsletters, and theirs is one that I actually enjoy reading because it's so relevant, and they just explain things in a way that helps it to make sense for me. So for example, when inflation was first reported at being like 6% or something like that, they kind of just explained it really nicely about like what that means, why inflation is important, what you should do with your money. And so they always have conversations like this. They have a lot of workshops and content and coaches as well for, like how to negotiate, how to make your resume stand out, how to build more confidence in the workplace and have really difficult conversations, in addition to a lot of their financial education topics too, which are around investing, budgeting, things like that. They seem to have very comprehensive ancillary services in addition to their banking and investment services. I think I mentioned this already, but I've seen, in just the short time that I've been investing with them, around 25 to 28% return on my investments, which is frankly like pretty amazing considering that I just, filled out a quiz, told them what I was interested in doing and how aggressive I wanted to be, and made sure to turn on that impact portfolio piece for the investment strategy. Right now, it's actually a little bit lower given, all the global issues happening right now, but I'm not worried about that at all, to be honest, because I know that if I just leave my money in there and keep on investing, that eventually it's going to go up, and I'm very privileged, to be able to have that feeling, because a lot of people, might need that money sooner, but for me, I don't I don't need it right now and don't foresee needing it. So I'm just gonna leave my money in there and let it do its thing. So I can report back, a little later, hopefully the next 6 months to a year, and let you know how that's going again. But I've really loved banking with ELLEVEST. So if you're interested in investing or banking with ELLEVEST, I'll drop my referral link below. If you use this link, you'll get 3 months free of ELLEVEST Essential. So that'll save you a little bit of money and also give you the opportunity to explore it. Let me know what you think of ELLEVEST if you're deciding to bank with them and invest with them, or if you're just curious to learn more. Happy to answer any questions based on my experience or direct you to any articles and things like that I've read. If you like content like this and enjoyed learning about my experience with ELLEVEST, please subscribe to the channel. Make sure to hit that like button and definitely feel free to comment and let us know what you think. So appreciate you joining Neil and I on Roundup Save, and stay tuned for next time's video.